Back to the channel. In the last video I was able to pick up another Hellcat swap for a project, but before I can use it I need to go through everything on the engine, the transmission, the supercharger, because it came out of a very wrecked Challenger Hellcat. So as I showed you guys in the previous video, the water pump needs to be replaced. The hydraulic power steering pump, I'm actually going to just throw it away because I'm going to just convert it to electric power steering. And then there's a bunch of other stuff on the front of the engine that also needs to be replaced from the accident. As you can see, this tensioner is broken clean off. Then when they pulled the engine, they didn't really know what they were doing. They decided to cut the drive shaft, but instead of cutting here first, I think they were trying to cut this output yoke, but the shaft is splined and those come off. So hopefully they didn't cut far enough down, and I'm gonna have to check the part number because I have this V6 one right here, and if they are the same, I'll be able to just directly put this one on after I blast it and Cerakote it. So we'll be good there. If it's not the same, I'll order the part. We can get those replaced. They look very similar, but yeah, it's a Hellcat. That's a V6. I'm doubting they're the same, but if they are, we'll use them. Besides that, the wiring harness, I need to order a new one of those because it had some damage from the accident. And then some of the fuel line stuff back here, they ended up, this is the evap system. They cut that line and a bunch of other stuff. Luckily enough, they didn't cut anything on the oil cooler. I need to order a set of spark plugs because there's one missing. I don't know what they did with one of them. And then I want to pull the valve covers, make sure everything in there looks good, and just kind of go through and clean up what needs to be cleaned. I'm working with a company called Vevor. So I'm going to give away one of these bore scope tools on my Patreon. So if you sign up to my Patreon, the link is in the description. I'll pick one person to get this tool, and they come in handy. I'm going to show how they work, but it helps me tremendously be able to bore scope stuff like cylinders before I buy an engine and end up with something that has cracked ringlands or has had water in it. And it's a very useful tool if you're going to be buying engines off of like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, and they won't let you start them or run a compression on them. You can see directly in the cylinder easily to pull the spark plugs, and it helps with a bunch of other stuff just like that. You can find rust in panels with it. It has a very long, you could do like sewer stuff with it if you want because it has a very long scope. But let's get to work on this. I'll put a link in the description for that. I'll also be doing a giveaway on one of those tools on my Patreon, so go check that out. Haven't checked the part numbers or anything, but the one off the V6 transmission looks pretty much identical, fits in the transmission, works perfectly. So one other concern, it's not that bad, but this one, they just barely got through it. You can almost see light through it. You can see it's just barely on the other side, but it doesn't look like it affected the splines at all. So we'll pull this nut back off. So there's where it was, and I think we are good to go. I think there might just be a hair. No, I don't know. I don't think so. I think that's just a, yeah, it looks okay. So I don't think we're gonna be, if anything happened, it was just like a nick, which I think at the most I probably just need to maybe get a seal, but even then it doesn't look like they went through the seal. So unless it leaks, and unless this is a different piece, I kind of want to Cerakote this so it doesn't look all rusty like that. But she slips right in like it would with that one. Just looks a little rustier, and there we go. Ended up pulling the valve covers off just to make sure nothing was really messed with underneath and there wasn't a bunch of debris in the engine, because the valve covers have been off. The bolts on this side were all loose. None of the bolts on the other side were loose, but I just wanted to make sure. I also pulled all the spark plugs, and now we're going to bore scope each cylinder to make sure everything's good. So this is the Vevor bore scope tool, which if you guys sign up to my Patreon, I'll be giving one of these away to somebody, and it's really useful. So let's turn this bad boy on. I'm actually pretty excited about having one of these because I've wanted one for a very long time, and I probably should have bought one, but this one has like the super long head on it. So it has a light. You can turn up and down the brightness, but we're gonna look in each one of these. Make sure the threads are good. Make sure the cylinders are good. Looks pretty good to me. Threads look good. Cylinder looks good. I'm gonna give it a little bend right there so I can see what's over in that corner. Yeah. If I can get her back in there. Come on, show me. Okay, yeah, I think this cylinder is good. Next. Looks like a little bit of carbon buildup, but the tops of the pistons look good. Those threads look good. Next, looks like there's a little leaf in there. Yeah, threads look good. So each one of these, since it's a Hemi, each one has 2 spark plugs per cylinder. So I would just want to look at the threads on both sides. That's why I'm looking down in both. Looks good. Looks good. This one. Threads look good. Piston looks good. Okay, the last one on the driver's side. Looks good. Threads look good. Threads look good. This looks like a little bit of carbon buildup. This supposedly has 40,000 miles on it. So now the passenger side, which you can definitely tell the valve cover was off because of this right here. So let's go down here. Come on. Those threads look good. Piston looks good. Threads look good. Yeah. Good. Come on. Threads are good. Looks good. Just some buildup. They probably weren't running 91 in this thing, I'm guessing. Thread's good. Piston looks good. Okay. Threads are good. Piston looks good. It's a little dirty is all it looks like. Piston looks good. Last one. It's scary because the last one's always going to be stupid. Okay, looks good. Threads look good. I guess technically this is the last one with the threads. Threads look good. Okay, the piston looks good. The good thing with this is you can take pictures with this or change the quality, the language, screensaver, all the automatic shutdown stuff. So we'll go back. Then you could also change the brightness, no light, minimum, just so you can kind of turn it down. Then you can also take a picture just like so, or you can change which way the camera's looking. And you can also change it to the side camera if you want to look at the valves. You can see the crosshatch really good right there. Looks really good. Looks like there's actually a line in the cylinder wall right there, but I'm sure that's fine. But yeah, then you can see valves. You can change it side to side. It has lights on both sides, which is very, very convenient. So yeah, I really love having this tool because that means when I go and look at engines on Facebook Marketplace or on Craigslist, and then I'm like, well, you don't have the tranny connected to the engine, you don't have a starter on it, I can't run a compression test. This way I can look inside the engine, inside whatever I'm buying, and then be able to, you know, not have to pull the valve covers, not have to pull the heads. Really happy I now have a bore scope. It is very useful. I think it comes in handy in a bunch of different situations. When you're trying to look at something, you can look in frame rails, you can look inside cylinders, look inside valve covers without having to remove all that stuff. So I'm going to set up a $5 tier on my Patreon. Go sign up if you are interested in winning a tool. And then if you're interested in purchasing one, there's going to be a link in the description if you just want to buy one instead of signing up for the Patreon. Either way is fine with me. I just kind of want to do, hopefully I could get to like a monthly tool giveaway kind of thing. So subscribers that watch my video can get something that's useful to them, like this bore scope or whatever else comes out of it. So I'm really happy that this is coming out and it's actually turning out to be a good engine. After I put that rear piece on the transmission, pulled all the damaged stuff off the front, I want to get a bar and turn her over really quick and make sure all that's good. Before I do that, I'm going to spray some WD-40 in the cylinders. I just like to do that since this probably has, they said it was sitting for like 8 months already, so well, before they stripped the car really poorly. But yeah, let's get some WD-40 in each one of the cylinders. Put all the spark plugs in, turn the engine over, and she sounds very healthy. I'm super excited that I got this engine, and you know, there was a lot of damage to it. There was a lot of things that were cut that shouldn't have been, and there were a lot of things from the accident that were broken, but the bare bones Hellcat block tranny are good. So that's very reassuring. I can't say if the bearings are good. It sounds like they are, but without starting it up, it's really hard to tell. Supposedly only has 40,000 miles. I'll find out once I plug everything in to whatever I end up swapping this in. But I'm very, very happy to finally have another Hellcat swap. I want to do some sort of giveaway with it, with you know, build a car, give it away, or even do something that I've been thinking about doing for a long time with the Challenger. So with a different Challenger that I don't care about cutting up. So that being said, really happy this is good. The supercharger is mostly good. Needs a few parts, needs a few bearings, and a few seals. But I'm gonna end the video here. Hopefully this was kind of informative what to look for. Even if you're not just buying a Hellcat engine, if you're trying to buy an engine off of Marketplace or wherever, it just really is reassuring to be able to see inside the cylinders, see that they're good, see that they're not rusty, make sure that there wasn't any detonation. You know, you can usually tell by the tops of the spark plugs, but it's always nice to be, you know, to have that little bit of reassurance. So I'm gonna end the video here. If you like these videos, make sure to click the subscribe button, thumbs up, throw a comment below. As always, see you guys next time.